It's October 19th, 2021. I was just checking in on some of the morning headlines, and lo and behold, I have read a book by a man named John Grisham. The first book I read was called The Client. I can't remember title-wise if I was able to hold on to any others, but I don't even really remember what happened in The Client because that was in high school, and on the atomic clock, time and space has shifted and warped in such a direction that it's really hard short-term memory-wise and long-term connections. It doesn't always connect properly in this acclimate, being that now New York, specifically my area, is so destabilized. The structure and the structure of nature has come destabilized. But it's humans acting within the nature that have caused this to actually occur. But anyway, long story short, I have never seen the man's picture before, but he's on the television this morning on CBS 2. I was thinking last night, I'm like, CBS really could be Chase Branch Services for the Chase Insurance Agency if we were doing CBS CIA. I'm just saying, because I know where I worked as La Femme Nikita with my boots. I mean, I was on surveillance camera in a respectable manner, acting like a Disney princess every day for years, before that opportunity was taken by my last son, who I had to hold and carry and did not. I experienced some medical issues with his birth. But anyway, enough about me.
Best-selling author John Grisham is here to talk about his new legal thriller. The writer has published 37 books in 33 years. Wow. Most drawn on his own experience in the courtroom as a lawyer in Mississippi. His latest, The Judge's List, is no different. It's his second book to feature Lacey Stokes. Let me get my movie voice on. In a world where a lawyer investigating complaints against a judge, things take a turn for the worse when an anonymous source accuses a sitting judge of being a serial killer.
I'm glad you went all the way with that.
It is good. Yeah. John Grisham joins us right now. Good morning, John.
Happy to be here.
So, the wife and I were supposed to start a new show this weekend. I opened page one, and I haven't put it down since. It is incredible.
Wow.
This is the second book on Lacey, who is a complicated character. What made you revisit this character?
I have a crush on her. I created her 6 years ago in The Whistler. And by the time I finished that book, I really liked her as a person, as a lawyer.
So interesting. I saw a Whistler plane, or I heard, and then I looked up and I saw a Whistler plane yesterday. Then I had to look on the internet to see, could there be any possibility of a Whistler in a bad sense on this crazy human endeavor? And then I found out that Whistler is actually like a beaver-looking thing in British Columbia, up in Canada. And I was like, now that's an interesting looking animal. Yeah, but the jet stream overhead, that way that whistles, is definitely Warner Brothers, like Looney Tunes in its nature.
You know, she's a pretty cool character. And I knew I would go back for at least one more. I rarely do that. Normally when I finish a book, most of the characters are dead, so I can't use them again. But I've gone back, you know, with Jake Brigance and A Time to Kill 3 times now. Last year was A Time for Mercy. But normally when I finish a character, I'm done with them. But I really like Lacey, and I thought I could do one more story.
Yeah, but this is about a serial killer. So, a subject that you've never...
Right, it is so amazing when the audience, who is John's active sales audience for these great books and whatever. I mean, like, they got like an interleague book, Oprah book club thing going on now. Mind you, I really appreciate everything about his craft. However, as image consultant and whatever, I see they're able to both still read books, where I'm in New York and I'm having trouble looking at the words and holding on to that thought pattern because of other things that these two are into. Not them necessarily, but their leagues that have grown dangerously in the New York area, being sports oriented and athletics and hiding in all sorts of ebony towers of innocence. But now my ivory tower is definitely being pummeled and hurt. And I know it's the Innocence Project, right? Yeah, that would be my character. So now the thing is at UFO department, if there's a group in an ebony tower that keeps coming for the same kiddo in the ivory tower, it is a serial killing. It's like you're personally stalking that one kiddo down and trying to hurt her after you've already given her a lifetime of nothing but misery. Why is anything still existing inside of that ebony tower that continuously serial kills, sticking things into the ivory tower? I'm just curious.
Never taken on before, and it got me wondering and worrying about your mental state.
Yeah.
Because it's so deep.
Oh, and now this is the best. So now, Ebony, who loves reading about serial killing, but wouldn't dare write her own book, because what would like the rest of the Ebony Tower think? Right, is now accusing career hero from Ivory Tower of being mentally unstable. Is that where she was theoretically insinuating? I'm just curious. Because even though you're able to get into the criminal mind and you're able to have access to some files that helps you write some kind of a book in theory or actuality, doesn't necessarily mean that you partake in the serial killing, especially since we don't disclose the serial killing actually comes from the Ebony Tower, directed at the Ivory Tower. Ivory Tower looking back at Ebony is like, whoa, I am putting this in my own words to protect my own ivory tower, because when this comes to public light about you ebony kiddos, I don't want anybody to think that my ivory tower was taking part in this ebony serial killing of the white ivory tower. Does that make sense? In like a spiral spirilla kind of a way.
Detailed how this guy works.
Yeah.
How did you research this, John?
But it's amazing how it falls back on you. You're the one who's able to analyze and think of everything in little post-it notes, put the whole thing together of how you've been attacked, and then you put it together in a theory, and now all of a sudden you become mentally unstable? Says who? Says the criminal. Oh my god, right, it is a criminal.
We'd be worried about you, John Grisham.
No, don't worry. I've never killed anybody. I have no list, Gail. I'm not keeping a list like the idea of a serial killer is always fascinating. We have a fascination with crime in this country, and most of the books I deal with, I've written, crime is there, whether it's wrongful convictions or death penalty or whatever. The issues I like to write about, there's always a serious crime involved. So I kind of live in that world.
What was it like planning his crimes? Was it fun for you to
Just
think
think about it. If you're a sociopath, it's hard to think like one.
Actually, I don't think they have a problem thinking that way. But we're not doing this where we planned to hide in an ivory tower and try to protect the kids. It just evolved when all of a sudden this ebony tower started growing and purposely coming for some of the innocent kids in the ivory tower. It just happened. And so now it just happens to need fixing.
All the people who have wronged you in your life.
Yeah.
Think about the people you still carry a grudge.
I don't really like this analogy because I don't have any like solid figures that actually did anything necessarily to my face other than Jason and Anthony and Lou.
And so he does.
We do have a fascination with crime in this country. We also
And they're not even the problem. It's a whole nother tower of people that keep poking and purposely prodding the wrong fucking issues.
Wrongfully accused and convicted people. How has that work impacted your work as a legal writer, legal thriller writer?
Tremendously. It began to change 15 years ago when I did a book called The Innocent Man, which is my only nonfiction book. That book took me into the world of wrongful convictions, and I'm still there. Because every wrongful conviction is a fantastic story.
Some people don't believe in wrongful convictions. They think, that the people are there for a reason.
Wrong, Ebony Tower, but thanks for building your structure so incredibly airtight with your own sociopathic mental disease. The Ivory Tower was attacked at a specific pressure point that at the time they couldn't see, but it wound up collapsing part of the wall, and then Ebony Tower, while they looked on in like delight and glee, insisted on like rapid fire in order to take down the rest of the Ivory Tower. That's where you're actually at. So your like little innocent conversation when you do media interviews, not fucking buying it.
But there are many innocent people.
There are tens of thousands of innocent people in prison.
Yeah.
Okay? Most people don't believe that. Most white people don't believe that.
Also, they're in detention and concentration camps all over the world. Their air's being poisoned, their food is being poisoned, their children and themselves are being robbed of opportunity and forced and corralled like cattle by ranchers that they did not even notice showed up and were riding on a horse higher than themselves in some new grazing whatever, drift, we'll call it. The Green River Drift in, where was that, Missouri? Montana? I don't know, it was one of the M states.
Black people know it. They've seen it, okay? Sure. And racism is a huge factor in almost all wrongful convictions. I'm on the board of the Innocence Project. We have 375 DNA exonerations in the past 25 years. 70% involve men of color, okay? And so it's
75,
yeah. So it's a huge factor. But they're
Now, are they the only ones involved in the Innocence Project? I'm just curious. What about the kids that don't pick up a weapon, don't really call out much, don't try to call attention to any of the wrongs that are going on, including their own raping, beating, mental torture, and abuse by their own poisoning of environment, that sort of thing? What about those kids? The ones that don't have a voice and don't actually come forward because there's no venue for them to come forward in. I'm just curious. Because I know you've got some DNA system for whatever, people who invest $86 million in some MTA. It looks like a TV game show store. New York Post did a thing on it. Has TVs everywhere, just abandoned. So now to go to abandoned property, they'll auction off the TVs. Some shitbag group will get all brand new TVs and they'll be happy and quiet about something else. I mean, like, the whole personality of America is so filthy and disgusting. I mean, it's infiltrated by America has 4 different personalities currently that it's operating off of. None of them, it looks like, has morals, ethics, or anything inside New York City. Can't talk for the other states, but inside New York City, downstate specifically, it looks so morally, ethically, and societally, like, bankrupt. It's gross. It's really not pleasant to live in.
There are thousands of innocent people in prison. At the Innocence Project, we litigate, in all 50 states trying to get our clients out. And we're successful, but it's very hard work.
We have to get going, but real quick, do you miss practicing law?
Never.
Practice law?
Never.
Nobody misses it. That was quick.
That was quick. No, I did it.
Real quick. He said never.
I did it for 10 years in a small town in Mississippi, and it was enjoyable to a point. I got the bug to write, though, about halfway through that career.
Please keep the bug going.
The bug is going. I don't know if you've seen all these.
I'm star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cataruza. I'm still working on my portion of the Universal Project. This is the symbol that they fly here at the sports league. or multiple sports leagues, but this is what I'm working on as far as there's a hole. There's a tetra that keeps changing shape. Before I had it going this way, I put another thing here to show it keeps changing shape in like a topography, but it's more of a topiary and a labyrinth way as time and space elongates and warps. I mean, do you see the reflection off of it? Look at this, my whole hand just disappears. I mean, you can see the dimension is off. I mean, this is not healthy. This is instability inside of physics. And that's what I've been living through. And it hurts. This physically hurts to live within because you're not a stable, first of all, it's not a stable environment. You're in multiple places at once, but it's also, I mean, it's damaging on so many lights. But this is the photons and the gamma region is just turned up way too high. And my skin is starting to show signs of the long 43 years in this field. But I mean, like, again, when opportunity, money, and any source of transport out of this situation is withheld from you, all it does is just damage you over and over and over again. My feet, on my heels, on my calcaneus, are showing such weird epidermal changes. It literally tore a hole. This is my bed sheet. It literally tore a hole through my bed sheet because of my heel. Because the heel of my foot has gotten so radiologically sparked from the constant calcaneus to physics interaction that it has ripped portions of my skin off, but hardened it in a calcified way where they now are like razor blades on the back of my heel. So when I move them at night, it just tore right through the sheets. I mean, these are the biological changes along with this that I can't help. I mean, and there's no doctor present in New York that, I mean, I don't have money to pay these people. And so the doctors on health insurance, if I should try to use health insurance, they're not prepared for these kinds of medical issues. They just memorize and regurgitate and then sell drug plans so they get to go on vacations and their kids get to go to college next. They're really the most useless species of human. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cataruzzo. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken.